Real Madrid's miracle worker, the coach who bends reality. Please like, share, and subscribe. Episode 21, Mr. Sanchez? Lin Guang signaled to the players on the field to continue training, and then walked outside the training ground. Do you smoke? Sanchez and Lin Guang walked side by side on a trail in the club. Lin Guang heard that and shook his head. Tomorrow's game. Can you win? Sanchez gave himself a light and asked in a low voice. The match against Barca? Should be able to win. Lin Guang said confidently. Oh, that's good. Recently, there have been many rumors on the internet that are unfavorable to you. Sanchez turned his head and glanced at Lin Guang. As a rookie coach and in such an important position as the Real Madrid manager, it's so normal for small things to say. Mr. Sanchez, do you trust me? Feeling the emotions of the people around him, Lin Guang's heart was also cold. Believe. The internet says that you have other coaches behind you to help you cheat, others don't know. I don't know yet. Hee, I always knew you were a potential coach. Sanchez patted Lin Guang's shoulder. Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. As a rookie coach, are you so optimistic about me? Lin Guang scratched his head and smiled. I'm an absolute Real Madridist, as long as it's good for the team, I'll support it. Lin Xiaozi, you have unlimited potential, and you come out of our youth training system, I don't want the team's brain drain. Sanchez played soot, and there was a hint of faith in his language. Lin Guang looked at Sanchez's expression, and in addition to the sad look on his face, he couldn't see a trace of commercial atmosphere on his body. What about him? Do you believe me? Lin Guang then asked. Just then, Sanchez's walking pace suddenly stalled. I think Mr. President should also believe it. However, he is too high on commercial value. Sanchez took a sharp breath and stomped the cigarette butt hard to his feet. Oh, then I know. Mr. Sanchez, can you guarantee that I will finish the time of this temporary contract? There are a couple of good games ahead that I want to do myself. After all, liquidated damages don't mean much to me. Lin Guang exhaled a breath, and his heart suddenly became calm. Because he knows where his future path should go. Before the arrival of the marshal, there should be no problem. As long as you keep winning. Sanchez's face suddenly became a little unnatural. Oh, have you always won? This requirement is even more demanding than the world's famous marshals, huh? Well, I accepted. Mr. Sanchez, can I trust you? Lin Guang smiled softly. Because he knew that the person in charge of the club was still the Buddha who was high above. Yes. Save a full coach for a few months, I can still do it. Sending off the leader who had talked to him before the game, Lin Guang continued to walk back toward the training ground. Ding dong. The sound of a mobile phone text message rang. Lin Guang took out his mobile phone and looked at it, and there was a smile on his face. I believe in you. SMS, 3 short words. The byline, however, is Ferguson. Lin Guang's heart was warm, and he wondered if the old man had also seen my relevant news. Thank you. The same 2 short words, Lin Guang replied to the past. As a year-old friend, many things do not need to be explained too much. Back on the training ground, Real Madrid's players are still training hard. Beep. At this moment, Lin Guang blew the whistle on his neck. As a coach, Lin Guang always has a whistle on his body. Everybody gather. Lin Guang shouted loudly. After a while, the players quickly gathered around Lin Guang's side. Are you confident about tomorrow's game? Lin Guang said loudly. Yes. The players collectively replied. Barca are our nemesis, play with them, what do you say? Lin Guang continued to speak to the players before the game. Of course, one word, win. Must take it. Even by karma, and win him. The enthusiasm of the players was ignited. Lin Guang nodded satisfactorily. By the way, now the rumors about me on the internet are flying around. Do you still believe in me as a coach? At this time, Lin Guang asked seriously. Of course I believe. Coach, brothers never take things online seriously. That skin speaks with a big mouth, the old man is disgusting. The players rushed to answer. Coach, you have always been a high person in my heart. Granero Road. Coach, I always thought you had magic. Benzema said humbly. Old Lin, I always knew you would know Oriental immortals. A voice abruptly said. Lin Guang, handsome man, who are you? I'll go, why are you here? Episode 22, I'll go, Coach Lin, did you have such a big reaction when you saw me? Is it strange to be on the pitch as a soccer team doctor? At this point, Dr. Ma said with a smile. Well, I don't even know where you popped out of nowhere. Say, what's the matter? Recently, he has felt more cold and warm feelings, and Lin Guang also has a good feeling for this team doctor who sticks to himself. I'm okay now, it's always okay to come over and bring a cup of coffee to Master Lin. By the way, although I am a team doctor, I have been in the team for a long time, and I have heard about it. I believe in your coaching prowess. After speaking, Moss gave Lin Guang a very affirmative smile. Okay, thanks. No. Where did your coffee come from? Sunday, Barca City. A cold and windy evening. The Camp Nou stadium is already full of fans. In the fan zone, red and blue flags are waved everywhere. Barca's team song is also playing on a non-stop loop. Reporters from TV stations and newspapers had long been crowded outside the billboards on the side of the stadium. All kinds of long guns and short cannons like photographic equipment have long been set up. 1 hour before the race, Lin Guang led the players from the player passage into the stadium for adaptation training. As soon as the Real Madrid players stepped onto the pitch, they were immediately booed by the home fans. We're an away team, on people's territory, that's normal. Let's continue to run in circles, and don't get distracted. Lin Guang looked at this huge stadium and then immediately said to the players. Yes. Good coach. The Real Madrid players responded immediately. At this time, the leadership and cohesion of Lin Guang were fully displayed. After a while, there was a sudden burst of cheers inside the Camp Nou stadium. Barca coach Pep Guardiola arrived on the pitch with his players. On the big screen over the Camp Nou stadium, the guide broadcasts the admission of each Barca player live. And when the picture appeared on Messi's body, there was a strong cheer in the stadium again. Messi! Messi! Plum Ball King! After a while, the director was very professional to give the live screen to Real Madrid's player C. Luo. Woo! The home fans booed loudly. But Ronaldo is worthy of the golden ballon. He and Marcelo are still talking and laughing, and then pressing each other's feet to relax the muscles on their feet. Lin Guang sat quietly in the coach's seat, writing and drawing in a notebook. For the tactics of this battle against Barcelona, Lin Guang is still constantly deducing. In his past life, he remembered the result of this game very clearly. At that time, it was the first derby match against Barca after Mourinho joined Real Madrid. But due to Real Madrid's new players, new coaches, they lost 0-5 to Barca. And Pique's proudly raised palm in the stadium served as a lingering shadow for Real Madrid fans that season. Of course, there were also reports at that time that Mourinho was ready to fight a defensive counterattack. But the proud Real Madrid is not allowed to throw people on the bus. Therefore, Mourinho also had to play directly against Barca, and the result was 5 goals scored by the other side. However, for Lin Guang, the Real Madrid manager's half-season belongs to him. Defensive counterattacks are not stressful at all for him. A rookie coach, put up a bus defense, what's wrong? But what makes Lin Guang most entangled at this moment is the physical strength of the players. In the League and Champions League, the players are really hard. Although Barca are the same fixtures, their style of play can save them a lot of physical strength. Tiki-taka, a tactic of passing the ball backwards. But the opposing defender can only sacrifice physical strength to make a steal. There is no way, only when the time comes, it is time to command on the spot. Lin Guang pressed his forehead and then handed the starting lineup table to the second referee on the sidelines. The time soon came to 10 minutes before the game. After warm-up training, the players on both sides immediately returned to the dressing room to change their jerseys. Barca President Rosell, accompanied by Real Madrid President Perez at this time, belatedly arrived. Together, they were seated in the VIP box at Camp Nou. The live broadcast immediately gave to the two football giants. Inside the scene, cheers and boos suddenly mingled with each other. Blue Sky Sports is the world's largest live football platform. For this world-renowned match, they invited 2 famous players from Real Madrid and Barca to the live broadcast room as commentators on the game. Barca is represented by Enrique, while the representative of Real Madrid is Hierro. The position of host of the live broadcast agency fell on the head of the beautiful host Loda without any accident. Episode 23. Loda is the most beautiful sports hostess voted by all fans online. Only to see her wearing the anchor's formal dress, blonde hair slightly upturned, a smile full of charm. But the big game is coming, and Hierro and Enrique have no intention of appreciating it at the moment. Soon as the game was about to begin, Loda began to introduce the commentators to the audience. When Enrique was introduced, the bearded middle-aged man burst out laughing. This game, no suspense. Will Barca lose at home to a startup team led by a rookie coach? Enrique laughed out loud, completely disregarding the fact that it was now a live broadcast on television. Oh, who said Barca would win? Real Madrid have a winning streak in the league and the Champions League. To say that our squad is not bad, Real Madrid also has a chance to win. At this time, Hierro showed no weakness. Before the game even started, the two commentators in the live broadcast room were already full of gunpowder. But such an atmosphere is excellent for the popularity of live broadcasting. The two are the best of both Barcelona and Real Madrid, so why not predict the score of this match at this time? Lota saw the situation and guided the two guests in a timely manner. I predict Barca beat Real Madrid by 3 goals. Of course, my prediction is somewhat conservative, if Real Madrid dares to play against Barca. Haha. At this time Enrique preemptively stabbed and said. Ahem. I won't be as pompous as Mr. Enrique. I think Real Madrid should have a small win away from home. Hierro also hurried to say his opinion. Oh? It seems that Mr. Hierro is also quite confident. If we play a little game, whoever loses will eat this piece of paper? After saying this, Enrique casually tore a piece of paper from the notebook in front of him, and then kneaded it into a small ball with his hand. Good. Look at who of us has the luck to win this big prize. Hierro heard that and gladly accepted. But, two guests, what if the two teams are tied? At this time, Lota said sweetly from the side. A draw counts me as a loser. Enrique said stunned. Hierro heard this, smiled slightly, and then said playfully, oh, so do I. Outside the stadium, the supporters of the two teams of Barca and Real Madrid are already sword fighting at this moment. At this moment, the players of the two teams have been led by the captains of both sides and lined up in the player channel. Just wait for the third referee to signal, and they will walk together to the court. At this time, the big screen on the court readily showed the starting lineup and formation of the two teams. First, it's Barca's starting lineup. Formation, 433, forwards, Villa, Messi, Pedro, midfielders, Harvey, Busquets, Iniesta, defenders, Abidal, Puyol, Pique, Alves, goalkeeper, Valdez. At this moment, the fans at home cheered. Because what is currently displayed on the big screen is the invincible lineup of their home team dominating the football world. Lin Guang looked up at this moment and thought that this was indeed the case. Next, there is the starting lineup list of the away team Real Madrid. Formation, 4,312, forwards, C. Ronaldo, Benzema, front waist, Kaka, back, Alonso, Khedira, Diarra, defenders, Marcelo, Pepe, Ramos, Aveloa, goalkeeper, Casillas. When Real Madrid's squad list appeared, there was a sudden uproar in the scene. Haha, that stupid coach of Real Madrid actually lined up with 3 backs. Yeah, how afraid is Real Madrid to fight with us? Are they going to swing the bus at the beginning? Woo. In the box at the Camp Nou stadium, Rosell smiled and nodded to Perez. Perez pushed his glasses, and the expression on his face was neither sad nor happy. In the live broadcast room of Blue Sky Sports, Enrique looked at Hierro and kept smiling. However, Lin Guang naturally blocked these noisy sounds at the scene. For the discharge of this formation, Lin Guang has his own considerations. Because he knows that the current Barca is the most powerful opponent in the football world. Although Lin Guang also has the confidence, he and Barca have a hearty confrontation. However, he felt that it was also worth it to exchange the conservative opening for his knowledge of Barca's live play. In the past life, Mourinho, due to the pressure of the team and fans, in exchange for the bitter fruit of a 5-goal defeat. But he Lin Guang, a transition coach, what is there to worry about? At this time, the music sounds. The players from both sides, at the suggestion of the referee, walked into the stadium one after another. Messi and Croce Ronaldo have once again become the focus of both teams. The referee looked at his watch, then counted the number of players and checked that the nets were properly installed. Beep. Just then, the referee blew the whistle. The world's long-awaited derby has officially begun. Episode 24, the whistle sounded and the home team took the lead. Villa drove the ball out and habitually passed it to Xavi, the centerpiece of midfielder. Ronaldo, Kaka, and Benzema immediately snatched the ball in front of them. Xavi faced the 3-man defense and passed the ball to Iniesta, and Barca's double core pushed forward easily. Real Madrid's 3 front-court men, who had to steal in vain, had to return to the half-court immediately to defend themselves. Barca's midfielder, constantly controlling the ball, pushed the ball forward. But Real Madrid's 3 backs are also unambiguous, and Barca's attack can be intercepted in front of the penalty area. But Barca's attacking line is still not chaotic. Under the midfield organization of Ha, Bai, and Bu, the Barca front led by Messi has repeatedly brought threats to Real Madrid's defense. Now Real Madrid's 3-back tactics, although temporarily limited to Barca's attack. However, with the passage of time, the physical strength of Real Madrid players has slowly become weak. However, Barca's midfielder is still leisurely and non-stop passing and falling feet. Even their centre-back Peak was now assisting forward, constantly running through the Real Madrid penalty area. Passively beaten. Real Madrid's playing was once very ugly. Now Real Madrid not only cannot grab the ball, the mood is gradually beginning to become anxious. However, even if Barca's players make a mistake in passing, their players will immediately surround and regain the ball in the shortest possible time. Just then, in the Camp Nou stadium, the boos rang out again. However, this time it was no longer the home fans who booed, but the Real Madrid fans who came from afar to support the team. The home team has been in the away half, constantly turning the ball upside down. With the exception of goalkeeper Valdez, almost all 10 of Barca's other men came to the Real Madrid half. At this time, the players on both sides are in chaos, and almost no longer distinguish between the front and backcourt players. Real Madrid's players are constantly defending, while Barca's players are constantly attacking after taking the ball. Facing Real Madrid's iron barrel defense, Messi and Villa also kept trying to shoot from a distance after taking the ball. However, Casillas' defensive goal is still very stable. Thanks to several magical saves by San Casey, Real Madrid's gate is still unimpeded. Today's Real Madrid players are not only faced with the embarrassment of not being able to grab the ball and not attack, but also their physical strength is almost exhausted in the first half. Defending is definitely harder than offense. Barca, after several ineffective attempts to break through the bus, began to break through the flank of his personal ability. That's when Messi took the ball. Messi took control of the ball and slowly carried it to the right side. Khedira immediately stepped forward to intercept, but was easily dangled by Messi. Messi's superior characteristics are speed and small smarts. He continued to hold the ball forward on the right side, several disguised passers, and directly past Alonso and Marcelo again. There are many more defenders in front of Messi. But he still didn't choose to pass. Only to see Messi cut directly inside when approaching the edge of the penalty area. Real Madrid's last back, Los Diarra, was directly crossed by Messi. Ramos saw that Messi was about to burst into the penalty area and immediately shoved at Messi's feet. Messi looked at the sixth road and immediately made a 2-over-1 action with nearby Pedro. Ramos' tackle fell short, but the ball was carried by Messi to the edge of the penalty area. Messi's series of passing actions is a typical Messi corridor-style attack. In this offensive line, Messi is equivalent to being unmatched in his own BGM. At this time, Messi gently slammed the ball on the line of the penalty area and directly hit an arc ball. ZD ball. This kind of ball is the most difficult for goalkeepers to defend. The arc ball flew quickly in the direction of the goal, extremely fast. Casillas had already used all his strength and pounced hard in the direction of the incoming ball. But even San Casey, for this ball, is ultimately powerless. Aha! Football into the net. Ball, it's in. Beep. The referee blew the whistle of the goal. Home side Barca scored a goal first, leading Real Madrid 1-0 for the time being. At this point, the bus that Real Madrid has been holding on to in the first half has no choice but to be broken. After scoring the goal, Messi was also very excited, and he ran directly to the side of the court to interact with the fans. The teammates also ran to Messi's side for the first time and hugged him to celebrate. Smiling, Barca's central defender Peak proudly raised his index finger and announced that this was Barca's first goal. At this time, the entire Camp Nou stadium is like an ocean of joy. The fans were cheering wildly. Off the pitch, on the bench at Real Madrid. For the goal conceded by Granero stood up eagerly. But after he glanced at Lin Guang, who was drinking water easily, he slowly sat down again. Episode 25. The goal whistle sounded, and Messi and his teammates celebrated happily on the sidelines. The tired Real Madrid players are constantly gasping for breath in the same place. In the VIP box at the Camp Nou stadium, Rosell clapped his hands excitedly. He smiled and asked someone to bring a cup of coffee to Perez next to him. Perez nodded politely, and after taking the coffee cup and did not drink, his face finally showed a hint of displeasure. In the live broadcast room of Blue Sky Sports, Enrique happily joked with the host. He took the paper ball in his hand and deliberately fiddled with it in the direction where Hierro was sitting. "Ah, Mr. Enrique, you are so clever." Soon after the first half, Barca scored a goal by Messi, and Real Madrid seems to have been passive defensive. At present, we have a lot of audience comments on our live channel, most of which are optimistic about Barca's home victory over Real Madrid. At this time, Lota smiled at the two guests in the live broadcast room. Haha, now this situation, of course, everyone is more optimistic about Barca. There is no doubt that Barca won. And the little game between me and Mr. Hierro, it seems that I have almost won it at the moment. Sure enough, with a beautiful anchor company, my luck today is good. Enrique still said in a daze, not caring that this was a live broadcast room, commenting on football matches. Lotta, on the other hand, blushed, and then she quickly asked Hierro, who had been dull, Mr. Hierro, it seems that Real Madrid has no better way to fight back at the moment, do you have any suggestions here? When Hierro heard this, he immediately raised his spirits. Real Madrid is really facing a lot of difficulties now, and I'm sure Coach Lin Guang will make adjustments for the rest of the game. Hierro replied, but he also sighed secretly in his heart. Mr. Najero, do you think Real Madrid will have a chance of winning so far? Lotta continued to ask. This question seems to be a random statement, but it is very acute for Hierro. Anything is possible. Now that the game is over, there is still a lot of time left, and I still believe that Real Madrid will win the final victory. As a famous player in Real Madrid, even if he sees the strength of his opponents, Hierro still firmly believes in and supports his mother team. Haha, Mr. Hierro, you're just hard-lipped right now. In this situation, as former professional players and now football practitioners, can't we still see the situation on the field? If we continue to play like this, Real Madrid will not only not win, but may not even score a goal. At this time, Enrique said playfully. Ahem. Mr. Enrique, are you too confident? Real Madrid must win. Hierro was also angry at this time and immediately retorted. Well, if Real Madrid can score a goal, I'll eat this piece of paper. Having said that, Enrique once again tore a piece of paper from his notebook. Good. And vice versa, I lose without a goal, Hierro replied immediately. As the host, Lotta is beautiful and smiling, looking at the language game of the two football legends. Listening to the ratings feedback given by the choreographer in the headphones, Lotta is also happy to see the scolding war in the live broadcast room. And at the scene of the game, the enthusiasm of the home fans is still undiminished. Messi. Messi, Barcelona. Barça, haha, isn't the Madrid team very proud? The bus still can't keep the goal, that is, wasn't the other coaches bragging some time ago? Say that he won all during his term at Real Madrid, haha, now shame on you, Messi, score one more goal and I'll give you a monkey. At this time, in the Real Madrid coaching seat, Lin Guang tightened the cap of the mineral water bottle, then stretched out and slowly stood up from the stool. Barca is still strong. In the face of absolute strength, tactics do seem to be of little use. Lin Guang sighed in his heart. In the opening scene, Lin Guang discharged the defensive formation in order to try to see if he could use a conventional tactic to defeat this invincible cosmic team. It doesn't seem like that at the moment, at least not for the time being, this Real Madrid rebuilt with new players. In Lin Guang's memory, this Real Madrid team will have at least 2 years to grind in, and it will not be able to resist until the whirlwind combat style of Mo's Real Madrid has been completely completed. Coach, I know you're a tall man. If you have any magic powers, you should hurry up and use them. In this state of affairs, players and fans may be almost irrepressible. At this time, Granero stood up with Lin Guang, and then walked over to him and said urgently. Lin Guang turned his head to look at Granero, then patted his shoulder and smiled. Okay, no more, I'm in a showdown. From now on, I'm going to win. Episode 26. Granero was secretly relieved to see his coach look like this. He touched the beard on his face and smiled like a child. Coach, you said it earlier. I knew you had a trick, so please start your show. With that, Granero happily returned to the bench. Lin Guang looked at his little fan brother and was a little touched in his heart. He had no idea that Granero had been so confident in himself. With a crooked smile, Lin Guang immediately walked towards the position of the third referee on the sidelines. After conceding the goal, Lin Guang understood that the current Barca does exist like a bug in football. It is almost impossible to defeat them with conventional tactics. Because Barca have taken the tiki-taka tactic to the extreme. Therefore, to deal with a bug, you have to use another bug to defeat. What the team can't accomplish, let him as a coach do it. Lin Guang had already made up his mind, and after the established tactics were unsuccessful, he immediately changed his style of play. First, use the player pinnacle card to continue to get Kaka back to his best strength, allowing him and Ronaldo to carry out front-court assaults with 2 golden globes. Then, use the impregnable card to ensure defensive stability and reduce goals conceded. The most important thing is that Lin Guang also has 3 gold cards in his hand, so that the goal will be guaranteed. With this plan, winning this game should be no problem. The idea was decided, and Lin Guang slowly walked to the third referee, ready to change the personnel and change the formation. Ding! Detected that the host is playing against a high-powered team and is 1 goal behind. Suddenly, a familiar voice sounded in Lin Guang's head. I go, system? What is this for? Do you think I'm going to lose the game and affect my growth as a godfather of football? At this time, Lin Guang was both excited and a little crying. After all, according to their own plan, they are also completely able to win this game. Option A, lose the game. Bonus stamina potion 3 bottles, large, 1 gold card, reputation -3. Option B, win the game. Reward team stamina potion 1 bottle, large, 3 gold cards, 1, formation restraint card, reputation +2. At this time, the sound of the system continues to sound. Of course choose B. Lin Guang smiled helplessly, and then made a decisive choice. Choose success. The bonus item has been successfully sent to the system backpack. The system continues. System, check the instructions for using team stamina potion and formation restraint card. Lin Guang immediately inquired. Okay, host. Team stamina potion, after using on a team, all players on the pitch return to their best form without any fatigue buildup for 90 minutes. Formation restraint card, as the name suggests, after use, any formation of your own team is to restrain the opponent's team. The opposing team will do nothing, with a limitation period of 90 minutes, the system patiently explained. At this time, Lin Guang looked at the props in his system backpack, and he was a little stunned for a while. Well, this is really sleepy to send pillows. So next, let's abuse the peak Barca? Lin Guang came to the side of the third referee on the sidelines, with a bad smile. Referee, I want to change. Lin Guang said very decisively. After a while, the third referee communicated with the referee in the headset and then held up the substitution sign. At this time, Barca's players also gathered to congratulate Messi on his goal. At the side of the stadium, Real Madrid's head coach Lin Guang began to line up. Granero, Stinky Pirate, you go and replace Benzema. Gago, you're going to play right away and replace Los Diares. Di Maria, you go and replace Avaloa. At this time, Lin Guang quickly arranged the replacement candidates on the bench. The third referee quickly set up a replacement sign. Under the command of the referee, Real Madrid quickly completed the substitution of each position. Come here. After shaking hands with the 3 players who had been replaced, Lin Guang immediately shouted at the 11 people on the field. The players immediately obeyed their words and immediately gathered around Lin Guang. Listen, when the game resumes in a little while, Ronaldo and Kaka are the strikers. Except for Pepe alone, who stayed in the back as a defender and a scavenger, everyone else was active in midfield. You 7 midfielders, the 3 Habibu who accompany each other, play casually. At this time, Lin Guang immediately issued his own coaching instructions. Coach, what is this formation? Kick like this, what is our tactic? At this time, a somewhat confused Granero asked with some doubt. Lin Guang heard the words and smiled. Tactics? Hee, exactly, XJB kick. Episode 27. At this time, listening to Lin Guang's jokes, the players were suddenly confused. That's right, the formation is 1-7-2. 2 fullbacks, Ramos and Marcelo, also joined the midfield, acting as a winger assist and defender. Pep at 1 person delays, the rest, you are free to play. I'll also be directing from the sidelines all the time. Go ahead and give me Barca a moment to win. Lin Guang waved his hand and signaled the players to hurry back to the field. Coach, these 172. Alternative formation, can you restrain the opponent's 433? Of course, I just asked, everyone believes in you, because they all know that you are a high person. At this time, for this formation arrangement of the coach, Si Luo couldn't help but ask. In football, where there is a sense of restraint, everyone must believe in science. This formation is something I specifically came up with for Barca's midfield possession. Lin Guang explained lightly. At this time, the players' faces suddenly had an expression of I don't believe it. Coach, don't say anything else, you think I'm the only defender. Does it really make sense? Immediately after, Pepe said with some grievances. I believe in you. Because you are Master Pei. After speaking, Lin Guang gave Pepe an affirmative look. Well, let's not get tangled. Listen to me, the rest of the game is played. We're going to win, do you hear me? At this moment, Lin Guang took out the momentum of a team manager and spoke very majestically to the players. Yes, coach. The Real Madrid players spoke in unison. Although there are still many questions about the coach's rearranged formation, the players on the court still obediently stand on the field according to the 172 formation. Beep. After a while, the referee blew the whistle as the game continued to start. At this moment, the Real Madrid team, which is the side that conceded the goal, kicked off. Ronaldo and Kaka stood in the middle of the court and passed the ball to Alonso behind them, and the two ran left and right towards the front position. At this point, Real Madrid's new formation 172 is very clearly displayed. Woo! At this time, seeing this strange formation, the fans at the Camp Nou scene booed. In the live football room of Blue Sky Sports, Lotta and the two football celebrities were suddenly shocked and dumbfounded by this new formation of Real Madrid. Cough cough, the Real Madrid team after conceding the goal seems to have taken the initiative to make a change. Lotta, as the host, explained with some embarrassment. Because she was also surprised by Real Madrid's new formation, or because the sound of choreographers constantly coming from the headphones, Lotta as the host came back to her senses. In this minute, we have received more than 10,000 fan comments, and I will randomly read a few comments from everyone. Has Real Madrid given up its resistance? Such a strange formation is drained? If I'm not mistaken, Real Madrid's current formation should be 172, what is their manager going to do? Haha, does Real Madrid know that it can't win and start to give up on itself? I just want to know the look of the Real Madrid manager after the game, a transition coach, before it was so crazy. At this time, Lotta looked at Hierro's embarrassed expression at this time and temporarily stopped reading the comments. Mr. Hierro, if you say now that Barca must win, I can assume that we don't have this pre-match deal? At this time, Enrique played with the two paper balls in his hand, and then said with a smile. Ahem. Les, am I the kind of person who can't afford to lose? In this game, whether you win or lose, I won't say anything else. However, if in the future anyone says that Coach Lin Guang is just a pawn and there are other people behind him to guide, who am I in a hurry with? At this time, Hierro said with both embarrassment and helplessness. Haha, of course, besides this Lin Guang, who is so interested in helping him discharge such a strange funny formation. Enrique then mended the sword. Inside the stadium, watching his formation being smoothly executed by the players, Lin Guang smiled silently. System, use the player pinnacle card. Target player, Kaka. At this time, Lin Guang began to use the first system prop. Successful use. The system replied immediately. At this time, Lin Guang looked at the dashing Kaka on the court, and the corners of his mouth rose slightly. Kaka, let Messi be behind you and chase you again. Episode 28. The illusion of Messi chased Kaka 60 meters. Lin Guang, who was a super fan in his previous life, is still very clearly remembered. It was a match between Samba and Artine, and Kaka showed a speed with the ball that no one else could match. And Messi, who ran without the ball, in order to defend Kaka, chased Kaka 60 meters from the back and could not surpass. In the end, he was also scored by Kaka alone, scoring a goal. It can be seen how strong the Kaka at its peak is. However, today, Kaka and Messi are once again dueling, and Lin Guang, as the head coach, has more expectations for his players at this moment. In the next instant, Lin Guang did not stop, and the system props were used again. System, use, team stamina potion, now. Target team, Real Madrid. At this time, Lin Guang continued to speak to the system. Receive the instruction. Team stamina potion, use successfully. The system answered immediately. At this time, the Real Madrid players who only saw the physical weakness on the field were suddenly all refreshed. All the players, listen. Now on, give me all the offense, offense, offense. Don't forget, your team is called Real Madrid. This game, I must win. At this moment, Lin Guang stood on the side of the court, shouting loudly at the players. Yes, coach. The Real Madrid players replied immediately. After a while, the Real Madrid players were playing the ball and communicating with each other quickly. I said, did the big guys feel that after the coach encouraged us? How did they feel that their physical state was fully restored? Yeah, I was weird just now. Is the coach's motivation magical? I don't know if the coach has magic, but he's definitely a tall man, and with the games he directs, I feel like I can surpass myself every time. Let's stop talking, although I don't know why everyone is full of energy, but now it's just right to break the opponent's inverted foot possession. At this time, only to see the players of Real Madrid completely do not hesitate to exert physical strength to steal and intercept the players of Barca's team. And Barca's players are gradually feeling the pressure at this moment. At this time, looking at the changed situation on the field, Lin Guang smiled lightly. Oh, that's not fun enough. System, continue to use props. Use, formation restraint cards, target the restraint team, Barca. Lin Guang continued. Received the host command. Formation restraint card, used successfully. The system replied immediately. In the next second, Barca's proud 433 passing formation began to disintegrate. Barca's midfielder, with Xavi and Iniesta at the core, made a series of mistakes in passing. And the bizarre 172 formation, with 7 midfielders for Real Madrid, seems to be quite ineffective. In the face of various restraints and tactics, Barca's head coach Pep Guardiola is a bit unable to sit still at this moment. He quickly got up from the coaching bench and kept making tactical adjustments to Barca's players. "Coach, the other side has changed sides." At this time, Benzema, who was sitting on the bench, shouted sheepishly. Lin Guang looked up at the field and saw that Guardiola had transferred the 2 strikers back to midfield. Dilla and Pedro live separately as left and right fullbacks on the field, while Habib remains a triangular midfielder. Lin Guang looked at Benzema, and then the evil charm smiled. "Changed? Oh, let him change." Barca's formation was changed to 451 by Pep Guardiola. Lionel Messi alone acts as a striker for the single arrow. Barca, which has been transformed into 5 midfielders, has been slightly relieved in possession. But at this time, all the attacking pressure of Barca is focused on Messi alone. Gradually, Messi's dribbling time began to increase. Since all positions seemed to be restrained by Real Madrid, Messi began to choose to break through with the ball to seek the opportunity to shoot. But this kind of kicking style seems to be somewhat counterproductive. In one of Messi's breakouts, his dribble was easily intercepted by Kaka, who had retreated from the defense. After the broken ball, Kaka immediately started from the back and quickly ran towards Barca's backcourt with the ball. After being robbed, Messi was also a little angry, and he immediately chased Kaka to think of returning as soon as possible. But Kaka is still the wind son he used to be, and at the moment he is carrying the ball very fast. Messi tried to catch up behind Kaka, but this time, Messi stopped after chasing for 30 meters. Because of the continuous fighting of leagues, Champions League and other matches, Messi's physical strength is also a bit overwhelmed. Looking at this group of Real Madrid players who were still jumping up and down until the end of the half, Messi's eyes were a little confused. But at this moment, Kaka's breakthrough was over, but it continued. Episode 29, Kaka quickly dribbled the ball and quickly rushed to Barca's back. Busquets, the rear, saw the situation and did not hesitate to shovel towards Kaka's feet. Kaka prejudged in advance, directly split the ball with one person, and easily crossed Professor Bu. As a central defender for Barca, Pique is 192 centimeters tall. Seeing Kaka's breakthrough at this moment, Pique's first thought was to intercept him immediately. Kaka gradually carried the ball into the penalty area line, and Pique did not hesitate to crash into him. It was clear that Pique's idea was to squeeze Kaka away with a reasonable dash and defensive moves. However, the scene where Kaka was knocked away did not appear. The moment the tall and strong Pique hit Kaka, he was pushed aside by this jade-faced forward. At this moment, Kaka's forward movement did not stop, and in the next instant, he directly got up and hit the door. Valdez saw this and immediately flew towards the near corner of Kaka's shot. However, what he did not expect was that Kaka's goal was played by choosing the far corner of the more difficult push goal. Boom! The ball hit the post, which was immediately bounced into the net. Ball, it's in. Kaka is all about his personal ability to directly equalize the score. Beep! The referee's whistle sounded, and then he pointed to the middle circle. At the moment, the score between Barca and Real Madrid is 1-1. After scoring the goal, Kaka, with 2 fingers in the sky, then immediately ran towards the side of the court. "Thank you, coach." Kaka came to Lin Guang's body, and he immediately gave his coach a big hug. "Hey, thank me for what? Obviously, you played the perfect performance yourself." Lin Guang looked at Kaka and smiled slightly. "Coach, I don't know why I came back from injury so quickly, and I don't know why I was so brave in these 2 games. I just vaguely feel that such a miracle must have something to do with coaching you. They all say you have magic, and I'm a little bit convinced now, haha." Kaka smiled, then teased Lin Guang. At this moment, the teammates also came to Kaka's side one after another, high-fiving and celebrating him. In the Camp Nou away fan area, Real Madrid fans who have come from afar are cheering excitedly at this moment. The Barca players, after conceding the goal, are now standing in the same place with some lost souls. Pique, who was knocked away by Kaka's goal, also had a look of disbelief in his eyes. Because of the system that they have always considered invincible, the first time faces serious challenges. In the Camp Nou VIP box, Perez finally showed a smile on his face. He turned his head sideways to give Rosell a gentle nod, then picked up the coffee next to him, and did not know whether it was hot or cold, and immediately took a big sip. Blue Sky Sports Live Soccer Room. Hierro gently picked up one of the two paper balls in front of his desk and handed them to Enrique. Mr. Enrique, if you say right now that Real Madrid must win, then I will think that we have never played this game. At this time, Hierro said with a smile on his face to the embarrassed Enrique. Ahem. May the gamble be defeated, didn't expect that Real Madrid could actually score a goal? But you haven't completely beaten me, Barca will definitely win this game. Oh, another paper ball is left for you. When Enrique finished speaking, he immediately grabbed a paper ball and swallowed it into his mouth, then chewed it vigorously. Because it was difficult to swallow, he also opened the mineral water bottle and poured 2 sips of water. Hierro watched Enrique's behavior from the sidelines, and after saying nothing more, he placed another paper ball in the middle of the two. And Loda saw the action of this football big man on the side, and she was also shocked. However, the ratings brought by the program effect made the smiling words of the choreographers frequently come from Loda's headphones. As time passed, the teams soon arrived in the second half of the game. In the Camp Nou stadium, Barca and Real Madrid are two teams, easy to play again. On Barca's side, Pep Guardiola took the initiative to changing the team's formation to 343 with all attacks and all defenses. On the player's side, Guardiola replaced left-back Abidal with centre-back Mascherano. Right-back Alves is a full-back in the position. The forward line of MVP remains unchanged. On the side of Real Madrid, Lin Guang still sacrificed the 172 strange formation in the first half. Since the 3 substitutions in the first half have been used up, it is still Cristiano Ronaldo and Kaka as forwards, while Pepe alone is dragged back as the only defender. After looking at the single defender Pepe, who was already highly motivated, and after looking at the props in his system backpack, the corners of Lin Guang's mouth rose slightly. Episode 30. In the first half of the game, in fact, Lin Guang did not expect that the peak of the Kaka could be so fierce. When the equalizer was scored, Lin Guang did not have time to use the goal card. Being able to save a prop card, Lin Guang smiled at this time. Lin Guang looked into the system backpack, and a solid soup card was very eye-catching. System, talk about the use effect of the impregnable card. At this time, Lin Guang said to the system. Okay, host. With this card on a target team, that team's defense will be impregnable and unbreakable. The system explains. After using it, the opposing team can't score a goal at all, can it? Lin Guang continued. Yes, host. But please note that the card is valid for 90 minutes. The system continues. I'll go. 90 minutes, the other side does not want to score? This card is also too anti-heavenly. But now that it's the second half, will it be too wasteful to use at this time? Lin Guang was a little confused, but after a while, he was immediately enlightened. This match with Barca, the world's attention, now is not in front of the saint, but when to stay. System, use the immaculate card immediately. Target team, Real Madrid. At this time, Lin Guang said very decisively. Okay, host. Solid as a card, use it successfully. The system replied immediately. The formation is restrained, the reinforcement is in a hurry, I want to see how Barca play in the second half. At this moment, Lin Guang looked at the stadium and smiled slyly. At this time, on the pitch, Barca rechanged the 343 formation, allowing their possession to improve again. But they only have a lot of possession, and Barca's forward line wants to break through Real Madrid's midfield defense, which is very difficult. But it has to be said that Xavi and Iniesta are the best 2 midfield masters at this time. Under Barca's dual-core organization, the MVP trio penetrated into the front of Real Madrid's penalty area line many times. However, they faced the last line of defense in front of the Real Madrid goalkeeper, Master Pay, who was named Bulletproof Marshal Monk because of his fierce defense. Every time Messi, Villa, and Pedro attack, it will be destroyed by Pepe. Xavi and Iniesta also tried to shoot from a distance in midfield, but even if Casillas accidentally saved his hand, Pepe could appear at the goal in time for the first time. Perfect for blocking doors. Real Madrid's defense is truly impregnable and unbreakable. And Pepe is really a husband and wife, and everything is open. Brothers, my state today is simply against the sky. You all hurry up and run to the opposite half, don't bother me. Real Madrid's half, guarded by me alone, is enough. Coach Lin Guang is really a god, he knows me too well, we Real Madrid, a defender is enough. After a series of wonderful defenses, Pepe shouted at his teammates with joy. Go and go, don't stink. Don't you see that it was our 7 midfielders who completely restricted each other? I've never played in this formation before, but it's really cool. At this time, the teammates heard the words and kept laughing at Pepe. And Pepe was not annoyed when he heard it. I saw him stab and walk to the middle circle of the stadium and shout at the other side, strikers, midfielders, defenders, you guys on the other side. Come here. Lin Guang looked at Pepe, who had already played high, and the Barca player who was full of anxiety, and he gently pressed his forehead. It's still boring. Despite Real Madrid's defense-free and absolute restraint on Barca's formation, it is only a matter of time before Real Madrid scores again. But a small win or two is really not fun. The other side has also been passing the ball there and falling to his feet, and he is about to be hypnotized to sleep. No, it's a little exciting. Alonso, pass the ball to Ronaldo. See Ronaldo, after taking the ball, shoot directly from a distance. At this time, Lin Guang shouted loudly at Alonso, who was controlling the ball, and Croce Ronaldo, in front of the left side of the court. Okay. Yes, coach. In the face of Lin Guang's coaching instructions, Alonso and C. Luo immediately replied. At this time, Alonso immediately banned the action, and a long diagonal pass accurately passed the ball to the feet of Ronaldo. Ronaldo took the ball and Barca's right winger Alves immediately made a steal. But Real Madrid number 7 immediately used a flower arrangement foot, pulled the ball to the right, and directly past Alves. Ronaldo pushed the ball forward with his foot, and at this moment the position of the football to the goal is probably more than 40 meters away. However, Coach Lin Guang's instructions still sounded in Coach Lin Guang's mind at this moment. That is, as soon as you get the ball, shoot from a distance. Boo! Without hesitation, Ronaldo immediately kicked the ball in the direction of the goal. Lin Guang, who was standing on the side of the court, smiled slightly. System, use the goal card now. Target player, see Ronaldo.